Hello, welcome. Today, as a part of Programming for Problem Solving Lab, we will be discussing about Task 1B. So what is Task 1B? Task 1B is writing a C program to find the greatest and the smallest number among three numbers. And Task 1C would be explaining or implementing implicit and explicit type conversion in C. So we will go ahead to find out how do we find bigger and smaller in three numbers. So, but we are asked to use conditional operator. So what is conditional operator? Conditional operator is also known as ternary operator in C language, which works on three operands. So here is a pretty simple small program where we are trying to use conditional or ternary operator, and the concept that is used is called as nesting of ternary operator. So we will see how do we proceed. Imagine there are three numbers A, B and C. Let us assume that there are three numbers A, B and C. So A, B and C. A, B and C are three numbers. Let us assume A is 5, B is 6 and C is 7. Whenever we are given three numbers and asked to find out which is bigger, the general algorithm that is usually used is, because you're given three numbers and you can't just decide which is bigger among three, what do we do is pick up any two numbers in an order. I pick A and B, find out which is bigger among this. Either A can be big or B can be big. After finding out which is bigger, compare the third one with the bigger. So therefore, A and C are compared or B and C are compared. So therefore, how do we generally develop a simple algorithm? So take three numbers A, B and C. Take three numbers A, B and C. Then just compare A and B. In that, either A may be bigger or B may be bigger or B may be bigger. So therefore, when A is bigger, go back and compare A with C. Then your answer is either A or C. In the same way, when this particular condition is false, you know that B is bigger. So compare B with the next element C. Now the answer will be either A is bigger or the answer will be either B is bigger or C is bigger. So therefore, this is how you get to find out which is bigger. Now, when I'm asked to use a conditional or a ternary operator, if you are asked to find out bigger of two numbers, we just write A greater than B. Then obviously the bigger is A or the bigger is B. This is what we write when we are talking about bigger of two numbers. But here we are trying to adapt this particular conditional operator using the concept of nesting. Nesting is a process of writing one inside another, and C language supports nesting of conditional or ternary operator. So I write one conditional operator inside another to get the job done. So therefore, I have three numbers A, B, and C. According to the algorithm, let us compare the first two numbers A and B. Okay, for our understanding, let us have this. This is what I'm going to do. Inside this, I will do when I know that in A and B, when I know that A is big. This part will be done when you know that B is big. Okay, let us assume that A greater than B is true. If this is true, then you take the bigger element, that is A, and start comparing with the third element, that is C. But again, this is a condition. Many a times A might be bigger, equally C also can be bigger. So therefore, there is a condition again, which gives the two answers, any one of the two answers, either A or C. But dear students, we know that this is just one part of the equation. The other part is, it is not always that A which is bigger among A and B. B also can be bigger. Let us assume that A is 10 and B is 15. In this case, B is bigger. When you know that this is false, we will move ahead and try to compare the bigger B with the remaining element C, which again has two options B and C. So therefore, this is how you nest your ternary operators to get this job done. So how do I write a particular equation? So this becomes pretty important. So take three numbers, A, B, and C. Given I have three inputs, A, B, and C as three numbers, you compare A with B, question mark. Now, brackets is quite optional. You need not write it because the evaluation is understandable by the machine. So now A is bigger. Okay, for our understanding, time being, let us just put braces. Okay, so this part is executed when we know that A greater than B is true. A greater than B is true implies A is bigger. So compare this bigger A with C. Again, which will give two answers, A or C. In the same way, go ahead. Now, what if A greater than B is false? Implies that B is bigger. So therefore, B greater than C question mark B colon C. According to the syntax of conditional operator, this is how you find out. And all this bigger must be stored in some value. So therefore, I write big is equal to all this. So this is how I find out which is bigger among A, B, and C. In the same way, if we got to adapt this to find out which is smaller among A, B, C, how do we do? Given you have three numbers, I'm asked to find out smaller. So therefore, I got to find out small is equal to, as usual, take any two numbers A and B. But you're finding out smaller, so therefore, let me take small numbers, A, B, and C. So let me find out which is lesser. When A less than B is true, implies A is smaller. But when this is false, implies B is smaller. So now, when you know that A is smaller, compare the smaller element with C because you got to decide among three numbers and the third number is C. The answer is either A or C. Now, this we all know that this particular thing happens when we know this particular thing happens, one I'm highlighting happens only when A is smaller. But there is a chance when B can be smaller as well. When B is smaller, compare between B and C to determine whether B is smaller or C is smaller. So therefore, using these two small logics, we can determine very easily which is the larger and which is the smallest number among three numbers A, B, and C. This is using the concept of nested conditional operator. So dear students, here we have used nested conditional operator to determine which is smaller among A, B, and C, and also larger among A, B, and C. So we'll go ahead and try to run the program. We'll go ahead and try to run the program to see which is the output of this particular code. Okay, here is my editor. I open my program. Here is my editor. I open my program. Okay, so I have already done it. So let me open that for you. So this is 1B, lab task 1B. What is here in lab task? What is here in lab task? So yes, here we wrote. We read three numbers A, B, and C, which are three integers. Then we'll try to find out and store the max value. And then we'll also try to find out and store the min value. So therefore, let's save the code, compile, and run. In the next lesson, we will try to write the program from scratch. Enter three numbers. Let my three numbers are 4, 7, and say 2. Enter. What is among A is 4, B is 7, and C is 2. The smaller is 2. So what's the output? The smaller is 2 and the largest is 7. Okay. So yes, once again, let's take a walkthrough about the program. This is lab task 1B. This is here you write your documentation section. What is the program all about? Then you have your linking section. Clear screen just clears all the output for me. Take your three numbers A, B, C and min and max to store the minimum element and the maximum element. Read your three numbers. Then try to write your max. Max is equal to A greater than B question mark, A greater than C question mark A colon C. We have already discussed. This is how it works. So this is how we find out the bigger, smaller. The point to be noted is here we are omitting the condition for what when the inputs are equal. If you want, you can add that up, but that becomes little complex, but that also can be added to ensure that a program runs for all the inputs. But given three unequal numbers or three different integers, this is how we determine the maximum and the minimum in a list of elements. Okay, so this is how we can execute. So I now request all of you to kindly take a pen and a paper and then go ahead to write your code on your own. So just go prepare for conditional operator and then write the code on your own. Thank you.